Hey, what's going on, everybody? I hope everyone had a great day today, and welcome to Real Life Solutions with Uncle T. What causes communication breakdown in a marriage? What do you think? After 33 years of marriage myself, my second marriage, my first marriage, I'm divorced and I remarried. And my first marriage lasted probably about 2 years, separated about 3 years, and then I met my beautiful wife that I have right now, Jocelyn, Joyful Designs, and we've been married 33 years. So I think that I have found the right one for me. And 33 years is a long time. And we've had communication breakdown before where we've learned through so many trial and errors what works and what doesn't work. But a lot of people go through breakdown in their marriage and they don't recover. When breakdown takes place, a lot of times there's infidelity, there's emotional cheating, or people just shut down altogether. And one of the things we want to examine, there are four things, and they're very quickly. I'm not going to bore you, I'm not going to hold you long. So you don't have to swipe left. This will be very quickly. Now, the first one is you don't put each other first. That's what causes communication breakdown in a marriage, is that you have to put each other first. You know, when you got married, it was about the two of you, right? It was just you, your spouse, everybody's happy, life goes on, everything is great. And then the children are involved and other responsibilities are pulling against you. You know, you may have children who involved in sports or after school activities. You may have a job that may carry you out of town and you may have to travel. Maybe your wife has a very stressful job. So when all of those factors come into play, the kids, yourself, your spouse, you know, you have a tendency to put the kids first, the spouse second. Sometimes outside forces, family members may come before your spouse, which, you know, my personal opinion, they shouldn't, but it does happen to where people have to care for other people outside of their home. You still need to make sure that your marriage communication and each other a top priority. You have to make each other a top priority if you want to maintain good communication. You need to care for each other's needs, and when this is lacking, then the conversation likely is too. Because without communication, when the conversation dissolves, people let things build up inside. They don't express themselves. It causes resentment. It causes anger, and cause people to act out of character. You know, you're trying to talk to your spouse, they're snapping off at you. First thing you want to know is, what's that all about? You know, why are you snapping at me? I mean, I haven't done anything to you. So that's why we have to keep those communication barriers torn down, and we have to communicate with our spouse. Another thing that will cause communication barriers in your relationship, you may be experiencing some type of traumatic situation in your life. We all know that life happens. You know, you don't have to be married to know that life happens. You know, sometimes bad things happen. And like, you know, one book that I read, that bad things happen to good people. And you may have lost a loved one unexpectedly. You know, sometimes, you know, there are vehicular deaths out of the blue. There's sickness. Someone may have suffered an injury. There may be sickness. I know it was very traumatic for me when my father got sick with cancer. My brother died of cancer, and it was very traumatic. Or you may have some type of setback. There may be a job lost, financial problems, and we know that finances is a very serious stressor in a relationship and in a marriage. We know that that's one of the top factors of divorce is financial problems inside of a marriage, or there may be infidelity. It's okay to grieve if you may need to take time to feel your emotions. And I'm just telling you this out of experience. If you need to take time to feel your emotions, you need time to grieve, even if you suffer a job loss. Sometimes you just need to grieve. I mean, sometimes you don't need to hear someone telling you everything's going to be all right. Everything happens for a reason. At that time when you're going through the pain and suffering you're going through, that's not fulfilling at the time. A lot of times you don't want to hear those things. You want to just be able to sit in your grief, deal with it, think about it, meditate on it, and then you move on. But try to do it together before lack of communication in your marriage cause permanent damage. Because when you go through traumatic situations in your life, depending on what it is, it can be very traumatic for one partner. And if you're not in tune, it can cause a problem that has a trickling effect, which it affect the other spouse, and it will bleed all the way down to the children. Another factor that will cause communication breakdown in the marriage is the daily stress that takes over everything. You may be suffering a great deal of stress at work. I mean, nowadays after COVID, some of the wages have gone up on some of the jobs, but there are a lot of jobs that people want more work and less pay. And then you're trying to juggle with the kids. And it's very stressful when you're dealing with kids that does not have any issues. But I think about the parents or single parents that have children with special needs, or having to spend a lot of time with their kids because they may be dealing with scholastic needs at school or anything of that nature. That can be very stressful, especially if you're a single parent trying to do those type things. Or an aging parent is very stressful, because a lot of times you have to worry about an aging parent, worry about your own household, and then trying to take care of a parent, someone who you love and want to make sure that they're okay. And then sometimes they have sickness, sometimes they have financial issues, because a lot of them may be on on an income level, and then you may have to help them out with their finances, or any part of life situations. The stress is easy to internalize, because that's something that I always had to learn over the years working in prisons, military, things like that, that you have to learn how to get that stress out. For me, it was working out. And, it was running, going to the gym, doing those type of things. It's easy to internalize, to take out on your spouse. Will often lead to a communication breakdown in your marriage. There have been many times where I came home from the prison and come in the driveway, and she may have heard me drove up, and the kids say, "Dad's outside," and they might say, "He's just sitting in the car." A lot of times I may sit in the car just to de-stress before I come into the house. I may take a deep breath, think about how the day went, leave my job in the car, and then come into the house. And because we all have some sort of stress, but punishing or abusing your spouse, it doesn't benefit anybody. To come home, take it out on your wife or take it out on your husband, it just leads to communication breakdown, and people will start going to their own corners, and people will shut down. They will not talk, and it causes so much tension inside the household. And the fourth and last, when communication breaks down and it's really gotten bad, you're no longer intimate or connected with your spouse. Um, when the physical or the emotional intimacy is lacking, then it's a prime time for a communication breakdown in marriage. When you don't want to, you have no desire to be with one another, you have no desire to stay connected. Um, you pass through the house, you look at each other, you may say, hey, love you, goodbye, I'll talk to you later. Nobody's texting during the day, nobody's giving each other a call to see how they're doing. The communication has totally shut down. And to turn the tables on communication, you need to make passion and that connection a priority in your relationship and identify when it's not there. You really have to be cognizant of the breakdown and try to do something about it. Men always try to keep the passion, always try to keep the communication. Try not to go to bed angry. It's one thing I try to always do out of 33 years of marriage with my wife is that I try to resolve everything. If we had a disagreement, I want to make sure everything is okay before we go to bed. Because when you sleep on something and it's unresolved, it festers like a smoldering little spark in a pile of wood, that it just festers and it smolders, and all of a sudden there's more smoke, until all of a sudden you get a fire. Don't do that when it comes to your marriage. This is just wisdom. I'm just going to give you 33 years of wisdom. Do not allow anger to go down on you. I think it's in the word where it does, don't allow wrath or allow anger to fall. Just like when the sun go down, you don't want that to happen. You need to work together and become intimate with one another. If not, the relationship will end. It will cause infidelity, emotional cheating. Other things could happen. It could cause separation. You want to solve problems. And men, I advise you, always take the active role. Don't always wait for your wife or your spouse or girlfriend or whoever to come to you first. Be the man. Resolve those issues. Be a man and just say, hey, don't be afraid to say I'm sorry. Men, do not be afraid to say you're sorry. It doesn't mean you're weak. It doesn't mean you're less of a man. It means that you don't like chaos. You don't like drama. And you want peace. Every man should want peace inside of his house. When you come home, you don't want chaos in your house. You want peace. And if you have to apologize to your wife, girlfriend, or whatever, and say, I'm sorry, I did act out of character, I did have a stressful day, I do have a lot on my mind right now, please forgive me, I shouldn't have taken it out on you. And a lot of times that has happened in 33 years of marriage. I've had to do that numerous times, There are times when me and my wife, we'll look at each other and say, you know what, we need to get away. If it's getting in the car, driving to Florida, going up to DC, getting on a plane, going somewhere for a couple of days, if that's what it takes, then that's what we did. And we still do that now. We'll just, out of spur of the moment, just say, hey, I'm stressed. She may be stressed a little bit. And we just say, let's ride out. Let's go riding somewhere. And me and her, we just take off and go riding. But it has to be a priority. It has to be about you and your spouse or your girlfriend, if that's what the relationship is, or your partner. But you have to make the difference in that relationship. But hopefully I said something to help you as a part of your communication breakdown, to help resolve any of those issues that you may be dealing with. I don't claim to be an expert, but after 33 years of marriage, you kind of learn something. You kind of learn the do's and don'ts, and you learn, and you've been through so many things, and so many facets in your relationship. So I like to be able to pass those things along to other people, because I want to see you win. I want to see your marriage grow. I want to see your relationship grow. I want to be able to give you something that you could use to put in your toolbox so that when something happens, you'll be able to open that toolbox and get the wrenches you need to repair. You know what I'm saying? So give me a thumbs up. Subscribe if you have not subscribed to my channel. This is the kind of stuff we talk about. We talk about relationships. We talk about money. We talk about men problems, women problems. We talk about religion. We talk about spiritual. I don't really get into politics. That's everybody's different thing. But I do, as a Christian man, I do refer to the Bible in many occasions. But in the meantime, you guys have a great night. Uncle T is out.